The series is tied up 1-1 as FunPlus Phoenix, they're able to talk in game number 2. Now they need to seal the deal and deliver what they promised, which was Jingdong not being able to pick up a victory in their first match coming back from Chinese New Year. They're one game away from doing just that. However, in that last match, Jingdong Gaming did not get mid priority. In game number 1, it was a different story. When they got that, that could be the difference moving into game number 3.
Yeah, when we talk about Jingdong, we always talk about their mid-kill combinations, and when they don't have that, their team is really lethargic. They don't have an early engine outside of Yagao. So that's the main thing I'm gonna look for in this draft phase. They could put him very easily onto the Galio and have a very good early game. Like Galio, don't get punished under the lane. Don't go so heavy onto trying to punish Bing's champion pool. They went way too far in the last draft. I want to see them dial it back a little bit and just give him something that if it doesn't win outright, at least can keep the lane even.
Which at least, Jingdong Gaming going into game number 1, they had a strict game plan for their picks and bans, and then going into game number 2, they did the exact same thing with those mid lane bans. Fortunately, did not work out too well for them. We saw being LWX as well as Pepper step up tremendously in game number 2, which begs the question, coming into the series, we said it was going to be Gimgoon who's the hard carry for FunPlus Phoenix. What happened to him?
Well, Gimgoon is still doing well in his lane. Against Gangplank, you lose a bit early game, but that's fine. The problem is that the rest of the map was winning so fast that he didn't really need to show up. So Gimgoon is still there. The pressure is still there. He still has that Fiora counter pick. However, the rest of the map is just blowing Jingdong out of the water. And I have to call out some of their draft choices. For Jingdong, I don't think they have been picking very comprehensive compositions. Like, you look at their comp, there's a ton of single damage, losing lanes, and also skirmish. So, like, not a lot of these puzzle pieces fit together. I want to see them pick something out that kind of makes sense and it has an easier way to execute rather than just like, okay, we want to stonewall FPX.
And it's not just their picks that are coming in for Jingdong as well as what they're giving away. Pepper picking up Jarvan in game number 2 seemed like a big mistake coming out from Jingdong Gaming, giving away these crucial picks as well, allowing Gimgoon to get that counter pick of Fiora in the top lane on top of that. We know that he can play the champ, and he did.
Yeah, and it's, again, go easy on the Bing. I think Yagao is good enough, so even if he gets just an even matchup, he can punish. You don't need to ban out 2 mids on the first rotation and then give over Jarvan, which is, I think, Pepper with Jarvan is a lot more scary than Bing with Talia.
On top of that, you have to remember what this means for the two teams. Jingdong sitting really high up in their conference, 5-2 at the moment, whereas for the side of FunPlus Phoenix, they've dropped every single game except for their victory over Snake and their victory over Vici, beating the top and bottom of the table. These points really matter for them because when they go back into their regular groups, into the regular conference play, they're going to need all the help they can get to try and get closer to the top.
Definitely true. FPX right here, we don't really know where they're going to stabilize in terms of the standings. They have a lot of potential to go higher. They also have a lot of potential to stay where they are at 6th place. If we look at Jingdong, however, this is their first journey into the East. They haven't played any of the cross-conference matches yet, so this is going to be a good measure on where they stand in terms of the entire LPL.
And it almost feels like the expectations for these two teams have been flipped since the start of the LPL. I mean, we had high hopes for FPX coming in when they played tremendously well, even the games that they lost. Whereas Jingdong, we didn't think too much of them until they started taking game after game after game, and now are performing incredibly well.
Definitely. The narrative for Jingdong coming into this season was that they were a team without stars. They used to be the Doinby and Friends team when they had Doinby back in the roster, but now that he's in Rogue Warriors, a lot of people were very doubtful of this Jingdong team. Still managing to show up and put up good performances.
Now they have to do the final act of taking down FunPlus Phoenix, who have been throwing out the trash talk here, Clement. You heard it earlier in the match. LWX thinks he can take down Loken, but there's one thing that was in that video piece that we have not seen just yet, which was the Kog'Maw.
Ooh, yeah.
Are we going to see that Kog'Maw?
There's definitely a specter of that pick hanging around right there. I think there is one pick that I'm really interested in, and that's kind of the Jinx pick, because she's been so massively buffed in 8.2. It's such a great cleanup. So even if a lot of hyper carries are taken off the table, I still think LWX could go into that route to play the hyper carry and try to wait for late game.
Well, Loken as well as LWX are 2 of the players that could pick up those hyper carries, and to decide this match, we're going to go into game number 3. So let's send it over to our casters.
Thank you so much, Fish. And, you know, this game really is important for FPX because if you don't start picking up wins here now in cross-conference, when will you ever start picking up wins? Because, okay, you drop your game against IG, but you go back into your own conference and then you've got to face down the beasts like WE, you've got EDG. When they start playing up as well, moving towards playoffs, when are you ever going to start getting those wins? So it has to be, like, right now.
Exactly, and especially during this time when the Western Conference as a whole are not picking up wins, this is your time to learn. If you take a loss here, especially in the cross-conference, you're not necessarily impacted in your own group. It's going to be East that's competing with themselves in terms of points because they're just competing with each other. And one team's winning, the next team has to win. But that just makes it a little bit easier for FPX to take a step back and say, look, we recognize this could kind of push us ahead in terms of points, find ourselves like contesting OMG. That's great. Yeah. But this is a great opportunity to really learn what's been going wrong for our team. Jingdong are going to be the excellent, I would say, case study for that.
100%, a team that they can actually take on and currently bring it to a game 3, so pretty good so far from FPX. We get into our third pick and ban, Sion, Azir, and it will be Zoe out from FPX. Don't get ahead of yourself, Raz, because he's basically covering everything that he could possibly pick. But on the opposite side, it will be Vladimir, Talia, and Jarvan from JD Gaming.
But why would you not pick the Camille when it's such a Gimgoon pick? I do not, like, there's no way you hover that and be like, no, I'd rather pick the Yorick.
The Yorick right here.
Oh, yeah. My name is Richard Pulse Cam. I'll pick Yorick here. No, he will pick the smart pick here, and that's great for Gimgoon. I really like it for himself. Not only is it a high win rate, but it allows him not only to impact his own lane, but if he's doing well for himself, he can look towards the mid lane. The roam potential coming out of Camille is quite great. The dive potential, if that's going to be a focus from Pepper. So far, so good coming out of FPX.
Yeah, it will be a Kalista as well for the bottom lane for FPX, and the top lane for JD Gaming. Zoom picks up Sejuani for his jungle there. Clid will be also a Gangplank lock-in. Wow, very fast coming in after the Tahm Kench out from JD.
Seeing a defined style coming in from both teams. JD has a massive front line coming out of the Tahm Kench and the Sejuani. And I feel like already I would love to see FPX look to pick themselves up a more aggressive jungler. They won't have the Jarvan, but if they go towards the Kha'Zix later on, then that will do them just fine. At this point in time, all they need to worry about is the top side of the map. They look to dive the GP, excellent. And you know what? The Galio finally comes through, and that's going to mean that dive potential turns into teamfight dive potential when we see the Camille and Galio combination come through.
That's the Galio we were looking for from Game 2. He's finally come back into this first pick phase for FPX, and as you said, yeah, Camille and Galio are going to be huge here for the teamfights and skirmishes of FPX. It's going to be a Varus span as well against JD Gaming, so pretty much picking all the picks away that are exceptionally strong alongside that Tahm Kench.
Yeah, for me, it felt like a no-brainer for both of these teams. For Bing, because he wants to be able to get out of his lane, that's the best way to do just that. For Yagao, because he's been a very successful Galio player thus far this split. And if they want to be able to slow the pace of the game to find themselves into the later portion of the game where they're much better than FPX in these slower team fights, Galio is just that kind of carry. So they're not going to be able to have that for themselves. It's FPX that picked themselves that up. And I think their team fights are going to be incredible because we've seen the assassination power of Galio ulting on top of a Camille ult, and it should be pretty poor for Loken's pick. So Loken has to think hard, think long about what he wants to be able to pick into this composition.
Actually, take a look at this, Raz. JD are going to ban away the Gnar, so they're actually thinking there's a potential here to flex the Camille into the jungle for Pepper, and then actually for Gimgoon to pick something else now against the Gangplank now that it's been locked in. So trying to cover all of their bases here will also be a Braum ban towards that Kalista alongside LWX.
That's smart, that's smart. I've been so heavy thinking about the fact that Gimgoon would pick up the Camille that, of course, he still is on red side, so he has the ability to look for the counter pick on the bottoms. So that's going to be great for him. He knows that he's going up against the GP, so...
Oh! Hey, and there it is.
There we have it.
Fiora, in the end, locked in. And don't be deceived, the win rate is, from the start of this series, just picked up another win in their last game, so now 2-6.
Excellent.
Currently on the win rate. All courtesy of Gimgoon in that top lane, and will be facing down yet another Gangplank.
Yeah, the Fiora, we already saw what it could do in the last game. This means that it's going to be a lot more harder for Jingdong to kind of look for the wards that they tried to get down the last time around when they were threatened and trying to get any bit of vision on Baron. They're like, all right, we have to worry about the J4 going straight on top of us. They don't have to worry about J4 any longer, but they have to worry about Camille getting straight deep into the composition and the Galio following through. So the pick is incredibly strong from FPX. And of course, the split push is going to be there from Fiora.
It'll be a Caitlyn lock-in for Loken, and it's going to be Corki for the mid lane once again for Yagao, coming in here against that Galio. Now waiting on that final pick for FPX. Will be a support, most likely expecting a melee support at that, alongside the Kalista. Something like an Alistar or Leona would do just fine.
I would like the Alistar because Jingdong have completed their composition, and it looks pretty good in terms of being able to siege, being able to poke, and of course having the protection of the Tahm Kench. They need a way to get an instant engage off of it. Sure, you have the Galio, but Alistar Galio seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, seems pretty good. So what's the verdict? You just spoke about it a little bit for JD Gaming, but have they fixed the issues that they had in Game 2? Because drafting was very much a problem heading into that second game.
Oh, definitely. Right now, push potential, not a worry for me. I like the bottom side of the map, the range advantage, the support matchup advantage is in favor of Loken and Mao. And then immediately in the mid lane, I like the fact that, of course, it's going to be Corki that gets push on. Corki that has the sustain in the matchup. So far in the bottom side of the map, I favor it towards Jingdong. It's just the overall composition, a lot more proactive, a lot more active coming out of the side of FPX.
That really is what we look towards for FPX, getting in those skirmishes, trying to win them and then snowball it into objective advantages. So they just need to utilize these picks. They have the tools, but they actually need to do the execution in-game now if you're FPX.
Oh, 100%. And the thing about the mid lane matchup, even though I would give it to Corki, it's not. It feels it's not like a complete
whitewash
one push lane, because the wave clear is kind of still pretty good for Galio if he has the ability to use his passive, his auto attack, to kind of get the clear off of it. So if there's ever a poor back timing from Corki, the gank ever comes through on the side of FunPlus Phoenix, then Galio suddenly has a small window in which they can look towards controlling the bottom side of the map, the dragon or bottom side, red side jungle, so they can look for a bottom lane dive. That currently in the early game seems to be my major focus. It's going to be on how Jingdong can control mid lane, because they've been doing that pretty well so far in the LPL, but they need to do that especially in this one game.
It's particularly tough as well to gank new Galio, the 8.2 Galio, because Aftershock is the thing, so you walk into his lane, he just gets the point-blank taunt, especially if jungle is going to be something melee like a Sejuani, and then he just walks away. 2.5 seconds of just not being able to get killed is huge for Galio.
It's pretty sad going up against that. Not only do they have resolve in terms of their primary, Aftershock is tough as it is. That 70 flat resistance, magic resist, armor. And then you have the fact that he probably has the healing, I would say, of the, what was it called again? Second something?
Second wind.
Second wind. We're just constantly being able to trade.
Yep, so you're going to be constantly high health, and you have the extra health coming in from Resolve Primary. Just makes you very difficult to kill. Yeah, see, their problem is they don't have that guy cheering for them.
Yeah.
But they do have the cowbell, so they've got that going for them.
Even have a dancer, too.
It's true.
It's too bad that they don't have a lot of people, of course. Just kind of give them a bit of change.
That was a lot of unsealed spellbooks. We have 5 in this game currently, and a Kleptomancy in the top lane from both, so many primary inspirations we're seeing here.
So perfect. Let's talk about that, because Jingdong having the unsealed spellbooks on the bottom side of the map specifically, we're going to be seeing biscuits 100% coming out of that. We're going to be seeing, of course, Dematerializer almost 100%. If we drop down this graphic and we don't see Dematerializer, I'd be very sad. But the fact that they're going to keep themselves in lane for as long as possible, be able to poke out the bottom side of the map, mid-range of LWX and Crisp, I think they've decided to hyper-focus on towards that. There we go. We already see the Dematerializer coming out of the Tahm Kench. Excellent coming out of Jingdong.
So we're going to quickly butt in here, Raz. So anyone who's taking a look at the schedule and scared that we're going to miss all the action coming in from LGD and BLG, don't worry, we're going to be catching up on that one as soon as this game finishes, so you won't be missing any of the action. We'll be coming in right from the start of it, so make sure to stay tuned for that one. So don't go anywhere. We'll have all of the games coming at you later today. But coming into this Runes, we're taking a look at one more time. It's going to be another Gathering Storm Kalista. So we're seeing this more and more. It feels like every Kalista I see nowadays is going for that Gathering Storm.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, when you look at the composition that FPX has, the thing about the Galio is that Galio is going to be able to prolong the game, kind of. Sure, it can accelerate your game. If you're accelerating the game, if you're snowballing the game, then who cares what kind of secondary rune you have. But if the enemy team is kind of posing a threat with the Tahm Kench being on the opposite side, and you have the safety of Galio, which means that Jingdong don't necessarily want to push for a fight, that could mean that the game is going to get stalled out for a long time. So Gathering Storm is going to do yourself quite a lot of good if you're foreseeing that kind of, I guess, inaction.
Game's going to go on a little bit longer. Gimgoon getting advances in the top lane, just trying to get as many Kleptomancy stacks as possible in this laning phase. That's pretty much the dream for Fiora. Post 10 minutes, then you can start doing something. But once again, Pepper is invading, looking towards the Grump. Seeing this many times from Pepper. It seems to be his route. Clear bot, clear top, go into jungle, take Grump.
A lot of wards, pings coming down towards the bottom lane. This is not warded out from FPX.
No, it is not. Clid just managed to get the stun down. A flash after as well. Another stun onto Chris, but he is a dead man. He'll be falling over to JD. First blood over to Caitlyn.
It doesn't matter if you're Braum or Tahm. Kench works incredibly well with the Sejuani gank. So getting stunned out. Really unfortunate for Chris. Didn't really have much of a chance to get out of there.
Bing is able to just stabilize in this mid lane here. Just try and push out this wave once again into this Corki. But JD getting an advantage is super good for them. Not only do they have the advantage naturally because of that Caitlyn, but also that extra kill. Going to start suppressing LWX more and more here.
Yeah, and so that's what's really tricky. Because Spellbook being able to go towards TP really means tempo is going to be on your side if you use it well. Right? It depends on how you use it. So the fact that now that they don't necessarily need to switch towards TP, they want the active summoners that they currently have. The healing is going to be pretty important. The ignite is going to be pretty important just because they're basing at the proper time. So once they come back into the lane, once they push that out, they're going to be challenging LWX and Crisp in terms of what items do they actually have. Because right now, look at him. LWX is still pushing the lane. He needs to back at some point. So at this point, at this kind of pace, LWX is going to have to worry about his towers because he's going to be constantly underneath it if they're going to be playing to that tempo. But if they get ganked, then you're like, oh, well, you know what? If I'm Mao and Loken, I'll switch to TP, and I'll be there to defend my tower. So right now, FPX got to find a way to kind of break that hold.
I mean, tower's going to be the biggest one, right? As soon as you see a Caitlyn, you start thinking about fast push, you start thinking about those early rotations after knocking down those objectives. So something that Clid will also be thinking about in this one, see if we can capitalize on that one. Can Pepper actually manage to disrupt the flow of how that bot lane is going? Because currently, Caitlyn would be able to push up there, though we are looking towards top right now. No level 6 on Bing, though he is walking up just in case there was a dive. Yeah. Feels like he had a beat on Clid.
So he had a good enough push in the mid lane, didn't have to worry about Corki, didn't know where Corki was technically, but just knew that the top side of the map was important. He didn't want Fiora losing that entire wave. That would have been really unfortunate depending. So you know what, just play safely, recognize that Galio can roam up top and just be with the play, doesn't need to have his ulti for it.
Bing has actually just done a complete loop around the Summoner's Rift right now. He's just walking everywhere, goes in towards the bot jungle as well. He's back into towards the mid lane to carry on farming, work towards that level 6, which he has just dinged. So now he has the hero's entrance.
Giving Pepper a little bit of a heads up in terms of going in.
Yeah, and it allows Pepper to be aggressive like this with the hero's entrance on top of it. Not quite in range for the knockup onto Clid, however. So burning that ultimate very, very early on.
He's very, I don't know about that one. He was a little bit trigger happy in that. I think that he could have played that one a little bit slower because, you know what, Pepper was doing well enough on his own, was going to have his passive, so he didn't have to worry about the preceding damage coming out from Clid. Just push your own lane at that point. Use your ulti if Sejuani decides to double down.
That, and it becomes a much better scenario once... Well, actually, Gimgoon taking a lot of damage from this one. Does manage to block that one off as chasing Zoom back to tower, though here comes the Blast Cone gank. Big wave coming in. Clid's going to find him, but Gimgoon is level 6, so it's scary for both parties right here. Just sends him packing with a quick stun as well. But Pepper wasn't even level 6, right? So if you're looking for that type of play, Hextech Ultimatum into Galio Ultimate, guaranteed you're going to get the knockup, but was not the case right there. So again, very trigger happy. But Pepper, by the time he gets his ultimate, Bing will be a couple minutes off getting his own, or just a minute.
Exactly, and they already have bot side control at this point, so once they finally secured level 6 for Pepper, they're not just yet, I think he needs 1 or 2 more camps. Then they can start looking for a play. Being able to get this much control, look at the control where it's so deep into the red side jungle of Sejuani's, means that they're going to be very easily able to kind of track her. Means that right now Alistar, even though he died earlier on, is going to be much safer this time around if Sejuani ever looks for a gank. And also, Galio gets a good push in the mid lane, he can look immediately for a bottom lane dive.
That's going to be at least 40 seconds to a minute off, though, as we are looking towards those cooldowns. And Pepper had finally just dinged 6. There we go. Hextech Ultimatum is online, but the second round of buffs is just spawning now. So expecting the junglers to move towards those shortly. And the top lane was pushing in. That's actually a pretty big CS disparity opening up in the top lane, actually. Gimgoon is about 3 waves down currently against this Gangplank. Pepper's thinking about hovering around the area. There's no vision for Zoom, though. He knows jungle is off map, so he's actually playing back. This is really good from Zoom.
Yeah, honestly, if you're Sejuani playing towards the bottom side of the map, lost the timing of blue just because there was more of a priority to kind of get a hold of her own red side jungle. Otherwise, she just completely throws her own bottom lane underneath the bus. That being said, is going to be losing so much experience just based off that.
I mean, Clid has lost a lot. I mean, he's lost the red buff, and he just lost his own blue buff in the span of the same minute.
Yeah, and remember, this is not the fleet footwork Sejuani. Doesn't have the attack speed, doesn't have the HP either, the healing that you can get off of just hitting these camps and jungling. So she's not going to be able to kind of take on Pepper in these longer fights, or going to be coming out of the camps healthier, not going to be coming out clearing faster. So this tempo advantage that Pepper has currently is only going to get larger.
Just have to see where he decides to cash it in, right? Where's he going to move towards with this tempo? Is he going to go towards top? He has the ultimate now. Bing's now also got his ultimate, so he will be able to join in with the play. Does he go bot lane, try and upset the tempo? As I will say that FPX has managed to even up this lane quite well, considering that first kill went down.
Here we go.
It's the top lane. Here comes the play. Gimgoon's already low, but misses the flash. Good flash response from Zoom. And Gimgoon, he's very low. Has to riposte out right there. We'll get a bit of health back from killing that minion, and Zoom will back away.
Really good flash coming out of Zoom. Otherwise, he would have died. Just testing you, Zoom.
Oh, Pepper, this is kill range right here. Steps up, trial by fire, turns around, tactical sweep, parlayed and executed. What a disaster, and that's double buffs over to Zoom.
What were you doing? Gimgoon was just trying to back, and now he loses a kill to the opposite side? That's disastrous. Look, I was about to give Zoom all the credit there because he flashed out of the initial gank. Perfect, right? That's already so much you can ask for. But then suddenly Pepper was trying to see if Zoom was smart enough to dodge his hook. And here's the thing about hook shot. If you don't get the stun, you're suddenly right in front of their face. And that's going to be right in range, of course, of the bullet coming through from Zoom.
And you don't have another one for many, many seconds in the early game. So we didn't really have an exit strategy. Didn't have flash either because he used that trying to get in for the gank right there. So it was just very aggressive. I feel like we use this sentence so many times, this word, for Pepper, but every single time it keeps on biting him.
It's a bit of greed, and let me tell you what any other team would have done in this scenario. You've had so much vision towards the bottom side, and the value of that one control ward is just paying dividends. Now, it's gotten replaced just now, but you could have used it. You could have looked towards mid lane, forced Yagao to utilize his Valkyrie, use mana. Galio's in a good position. Suddenly, enemy team has to answer to where Galio is going, and that's bottom side because of how much vision you have towards the bottom side of the map.
Clid finds Gimgoon in the bush, lands the ultimate, the stun down as well, allowing Zoom to get in range. Gimgoon determines to turn this one around though. Teleport's coming down, buying a bit of time with the riposte, but he's already low. In comes mid lane Bing, but it's way too late. Gimgoon's already dead, and Yagao's turned up to the play as well. In comes the stun.
Uh-oh.
Does have the stopwatch, but they're going to keep tanking this one. I mean, they've got so much health to spare. 2 more kills to JD.
Yeah, you just have to time it with the meaty barrel, catches the kill, and that's 2 deaths immediately, and this is snowballing so heavily against FPX.
This is disastrous. Top side of the map has completely crumbled. Bottom side, Pep is able to get an Ocean Dragon, but this is a trade for the first tower of the game.
And it's just the greed kind of piling up. I mean, we just talked about how Pepper should have been in the bottom side of the map. I was initially okay with him being top side and just fishing because the vision was still sticking there towards the bottom side of the map. That's fine, all right? That's okay. You push Sejuani completely out of top side, and you might end up with 3 winning lanes, specifically bottom lane because of how much pressure that was there. Top lane was doing well if you continue to pressure it. But then you just overplay your hands once again. Like, at that point, if it's just not working, if Gimgoon's playing way too safely, just back away. Your pressure's going bot lane. Gimgoon will be happy if you're winning through bottom lane. But they just tried to have too many pressure points at the same time, and you know what? They lose everything now.
Speaking of greedy, I'm looking towards Bing right now. He's actually going towards a first item proto belt. It's not something that we always see. Sometimes we see like an Abyssal Mask, a tanking item first, but he's actually choosing to go for this one early in the game. So it's definitely assuming that he'll start winning some of these trades.
Yeah, and it kind of gives you the one thing I love about the photo belt. Extra bit of damage in the trades if you can get the initial taunt. Nice combination you can use. And also just, I would say, a free way to clear out the back line if you just want to be able to get out of there. So once he's able to complete it, sure, his Q does a lot of damage on the back wave alone. It's not going to kill it. So if you have your Q thrown out there, you use your proto belt when it's up, then you have the ability to walk out of the lane, and that's one way you have push control up against Yagao.
We'll make him a little bit squishier though. Sometimes we see the Liandry's first as a damage option, but will be the proto belt in this one. So Needs to be aware that he's going to be a little squishier than he is usually. But it will be a gank in the mid lane. Here comes the ultimatum. Bing with a follow-up as well. But Pepper, he's taking so much damage from Yagao. Needs to back away right here. Bing didn't instantly activate the ultimate. Now Clid is looking to return gank. Does get the stun down. Chasing down Bing underneath this tower, but he is home and dry.
This is getting real tough for Pepper. He's starting to realize that a Warriors is not good enough to be able to secure these ganks. He's not getting the kill because a lot of the times the follow-up is just not there. Wasn't there fast enough for Bing. And of course, on the top side of the map, Zoom was able to dodge out the initial stun. So if he's not getting the stun off, there's so much follow-up damage from both Yagao and Zoom that Pepper's hanging himself out to dry.
I mean, it's Power Spike City right now for JD Gaming. Gimgoon has located Clid though in the jungle and lands 2 procs of the ultimate. The grand challenge is almost being completed right here. Just managed to land it, so Zoom can't turn around in this play. But Bing decides to use ultimate when FPX is moving forwards.
Yeah, that was a little bit. I don't know about that.
Suspect.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Ultimately, one thing I really liked about that was Clid was just holding on to his E stun. He recognized that Gimgoon was just fishing for it. He wanted to get a stun off to force that fight. There was no way Gimgoon was going to force the fight. There's no CC there. It's just really just Jingdong just running away from it. So at that point, once again, second chance where I'm just looking at Bing and saying, you just have to hold on to your R. You're watching the play happen, but if you don't need to use it, then don't use it.
It's getting very antsy right here and at the wrong times because JD, they have the power spikes, double Trinity Force, and an Infinity Edge for Loken right now. Like running into JD face first is almost never going to yield results unless you have a massive advantage, you find a pick or something. But currently FPX is still trying to make it happen.
Yeah, it's getting real risky, and it's good that they're bringing Crisp in along with this one because they're a fairly squishy team. At this point in time, just because Pepper still has to go towards his Trinity Force, he's still going towards that build. And of course, we're talking about Gimgoon in top side with the Fiora. And usually, if you have these compositions where you're foregoing a tank in the top lane, you're like, all right, we cannot lose an early game skirmish. We cannot lose a lead this early because then we will lose playmaking potential. And that's exactly what they're losing. So now they're bringing in Crisp. Hopefully, that will be the answer.
Now setting up a play on the bottom side. Crisp is waiting around the wings. He's also got Pepper here, but it has been spotted out by a ward right now. Mao, how much time can he buy using this Devour? Able to poke them at back. I mean, Crisp was already down to half. They choose to back away, so the play almost instantly fizzles.
Yeah, the moment you see, they're just kind of surveying the play. They weren't going to have Galio there. It was just not going to happen. He was not in position. And also the traps and Tahm Kench were there. So they're going to outplay the 3v2. It was going to happen. If they weren't going to have Galio for the play, then it wasn't going to work.
I mean, while that's true, at the same time, like, surveying the play is also tempo lost, because at the same time, JD pick up the Herald right there in top lane. They're going to be able to turn that into another tower shortly. And with the top tower already dead, they probably will look towards that mid lane.
Yeah, it's usually a good indication that they themselves aren't very sure of what the next play is for themselves. They're starting to resign to the fact that they just have to wait for Jingdong to make a mistake, and that's usually the sign of the end.
Yeah, they are setting up in that mid lane. In comes the charge. Chunks it very low already. Bing is coming forwards, actually. Comes in with the double stun. And they are following up with Pepper right now.
Oh!
Nice double knockup coming in from Crisp. LWX turns up to the play. But Bing, he's already dead. He was already in for too long. A double kill for Yagao. And he is just tearing through the roster right now. A triple. Now chasing down to LWX. It's going to be the Quadra. Crisp, get back here. Give me the Penta.
Oh my god. Jingdong on lockdown. FPX were forced to come to the play because, of course, Riptail's on call. He's coming towards these towers. It needs to be defended. The one play comes through, and it's instantly batted away. The slow coming in, of course, from the package of Yagao play dividends, and there's no escape for the rest of FPX.
Oh my god, can you say value? That Herald, off the back of that play, 3 towers. Pushed all the way from outer mid lane to inhibitor at 17 minutes. And Inferno is now spawning. JD Gaming probably just want to go back to base and start setting up for this. Let's take a look at that one more time.
Yeah, look at this, because this started with FPX, but if you're looking for those engages, you need the follow-up. Like that. You look for those engages, you need the follow-up, and it's currently not there on the side of FPX. So Jingdong able to completely take down Camille, and from that point forward, it's over. Like, your entire composition is completely centered around one wombo combo, and you didn't get it done.
Unfortunately, we're opening up into another fight. The Elder Dragon, or rather the Inferno Dragon, goes down to Pepper, kill onto Yagao. This is actually working out very well for FPX. They get 2 kills, 1 in mid, 1 in bot. looking for the ultimate from Bing, but it's very far away. Looking for chase down kills right now. But Gimgoon, he's low. He needs to back away. Chris with the nice knockup once more will find another kill.
Oh
it's
God.
3 kills over to FPX and Zoom. He's locked in place. It will be the 4th.
What is happening?
I don't know. We need to see the lead up to that one. LWX with a nice block as well for Pepper, but FPX with the Dragon and 4 kills.
I just love how we were talking up Jingdong just quite a bit of time because of that last replay. I was like, perfect, excellent.
Everything is going well.
Everything. Go towards the Infernal Dragon. Somehow Yagao gets bursted down, so he's out of the fight. And it turns into, I guess, a repeat 4 for nothing.
But for FPX this time, yeah.
Yep.
Mid tower barely not falling, and Crisp uses the ultimate, but he might be the sacrificial cow right here. Yagao moves forwards, but it's still not worn off. It's not quite enough damage. Last rocket comes in, finishes him off, and LWX now kiting around, but he'll also go down. Another double kill to Yagao. It's just overstep after overstep.
Yeah, people need to actually press tab, get a good gauge of back timings, because these are successive plays of not realizing when you need to back out. Yagao, this is how it starts. He dies immediately, and if you have to look at this composition, he's the, let's say, major point of damage on the side of Jingdong. So from this point forward, it's very easy for FPX to start to chase them down. Good ulti from Bing to just follow through. From this point forward, it's a bit of a chase down.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think most of that was definitely Yagao choosing to Valkyrie over the wall, buying himself into the pit. Maybe thinking that Tahm Kench was a little bit closer, because at the end of that one, oh my god, we're actually going into another play. Of course we are. Zoom is going to be falling right here, and Bing, he gets the taunt off, but Yagao's going to kill him through the taunt. Pepper turns around, but he's just got too much damage. Another double kill to Yagao.
He's 9-1-0.
Stop giving him kills.
It's just happening. At this point, the observers don't even want to show us the replay. You ain't getting it anymore if you guys are going to keep
I want to see
fighting.
it at this point.
Yep.
Oh my god, Yagao, so huge. 12-5 right now, and 9 of those kills are on Yagao. Bottom tower will also drop. Finally, 5 towers to JD.
So at this point, you usually look towards what the first item is for Corki just after completing the Trinity Force. Its Infinity Edge means that, of course, team fights are going to be a little bit more impactful, getting a little more damage off if he's a little bit more lucky. Get those crits across. Apparently he is. The one crit that was available to him was the one where he got taunted by Bing, so that was excellent.
But Bing choosing to go pretty much full AP in this game is, I would say, becoming an issue. Pointed out the Proto Belt, but is now moving towards the Liandry's Torment. And just the way that FPX have been playing these fights, it's not been jumping with Pepper, engage, follow with the Galio. It's been Galio move in first, tank a bunch, and then we'll follow up. And that's not what you do with an AP Galio coming in here. I'm just taking a look at the gold totals, because look towards Yagao, 11,000 gold. When you look towards Bing, 7.5 barely.
Yep. It's a classic solo queue game coming in for Bing when you press tab and realize the enemy mid laner has just gotten, somehow, 4 kills into 2 kills into more kills. He's just incredibly fed. And remember, he just had an Infinity Edge until that last back, and now has himself a completed rapid fire cannon. Didn't have any bit of components for that. Bing will not be able to fight that alone.
We'll get the taunts off onto Yagao. We'll just send more members at him. That is the solution. And this time, it does finally work. They get the pick in the side lane. Yagao just pushing way too far in that lane.
Yeah, you know what? At this point, usually with the Corki packages, you can just be on side lane. It works out well for you because you have, of course, package that can get you out of there if you're ever getting locked down by any character. That's just a completed lockdown coming in from Bing to Pepper to everyone else. So there's no way for you to be able to escape in that scenario.
FPX, they started hitting the Baron, actually choosing to back away right now. They have the Kalista, so there's an opportunity. But that really did buy a lot of time, since Corki, with that many kills, high level, long death timer, there is a chance for them to start making plays, at least get the vision down. That's what FPX have done around the area. Start knocking down some of these outer turrets. That's the first tower of the game for FPX in the mid lane, finally falling.
Yeah, they're going to have to continue this kind of pace. It's nice that they're finding these cute plays to be able to find these picks onto Yagao, find these picks onto a little earlier on, be able to chase down Clid, the dragon fight. That's great. They find one pick, they can't snowball it because the cooldown of Pepper's hookshot is just that low.
I mean, that's pretty much the game plan right now for FPX. Look for someone out of position. If it's Yagao, perfect. That's like most of the gold down the drain for JD. But outside of that, it's pretty difficult to find these opportunities, find those picks. Because you have to feel that JD will be playing more conservatively now. You look towards Loken lane assignments. Loken's always going to have Mao behind him. Off in the side lane, Yagao, he goes to the same lane. He's like, okay, guys, I'm not going to do the same thing. I'm not going to push too far up now. And in the bottom lane, Zoom, like, he's going to be okay against Gimgoon. He's not going to die 1 versus 1. It's getting to 23 minutes though, but FPX, you managed to stall out. The game hasn't ended, and of course that's going to be a good thing when there's a Corki who's so gigantic on the opposite side. So that's going to be something that FPX are definitely praying towards. And plus, they managed to pick up the bottom tower. So slowly, the waves are pushing. Slowly, they're able to get these incremental advantages. But always at the back of their mind, they're thinking about the next team fight. We need to lock down Corki, because if we don't, then, well, it's pretty much lights out.
Yeah, I mean, both teams have that incentive now with Yagao having quite a bit of crit underneath them, being on side lane, being a side lane menace. But you know what, speaking of side lane menaces, Gimgoon has that kind of trait for himself as well on the Fiora. So playing towards the next major objective is going to be a little bit harder if both lanes are just trading out.
But it's the tools, right, at the end of the day, because Pepper and Bing, you're looking towards that combination. They have the Camille, they have the Galio. They can lock down a single target. And they are looking to do so right now, but the engage actually comes out for JD. LvMao almost instantly dies, and Yagao finds that kill. In comes Bing, but it's very late right now. Loken will fall, but we're looking towards Yagao. Can he put out the damage? He's gone into the Zhonya's, but he's going to fall right now. This is exactly what FPX needed. A third, a fourth kill, and they've managed to rout JD Gaming out of their base.
They really needed to think about that play a little bit longer. Zoom's gonna have
coming
to
in
fall
from
out.
Gimgoon, and Zoom, he's getting chased down. Fiora in a long lane, but good slow, really good barrel coming out, but the hook shot once more as well. The chasing potential of this team of FPX is absolutely huge, and Zoom will finally fall. Almost a clean ace, only at the cost of LWX.
Yeah, now they're gonna look for a free Baron. So Jingdong overall, they thought they could get this, you know, the pick, take down the major carry, what they thought to be the only carry for FPX. But problems is that, you know, Pepper does quite a bit of damage. Bing, of course, is full AP. That's a combination you still don't want to be able to go up against. So immediately, Yagao doesn't have a way to deal with the fight. He just gets instantly bursted every single time he's in the same room as the Galio and the Camille.
Take a look at that one again, because JD, they went in for the engagement. They saw LWX, they went for the engage, and Yagao almost instantly pops in, but...
Yeah, even flashes forward, Loken does, just to be able to net the kill. And so it's going to be a major focus on, of course, Yagao and the AD carry, of course, Loken. Yagao, sure, be able to kind of hold your head a little higher by just putting yourself in Zhonya's mode maybe a little bit, just kind of going golden, but then he dies immediately. So the carries are immediately bursted, even though they take down LWX. Had they been able to survive a little bit longer, it would have been all right. But that just means that you need to be by Mao in these fights at all times.
You've got to be near your insurance policy, and this is obviously one of the drawbacks in a game like this when all of your kills are on a single player. Like, he's the man you are looking towards. If you're both teams right now, you've got to keep him alive. But FPX, they have a very easy target to latch onto. It didn't look like they were going to get the initial kill onto Yagao, but they do have the tools. You know, we spoke about it. Like Pepper, Hextech Ultimatum, into Hero's Entrance, it's almost guaranteed to lock down the target if Mao isn't near.
Yeah, and Pepper was struggling really early on, but now he has himself the Trinity Force and the BF Sword. I believe that's going into a Guardian Angel if he's trying to start these fights, remain on top of them, not immediately get bursted out. Even if he does, he can still survive afterwards and have a follow-up to that. So now he's just able to deal damage in these fights, so they have multiple carries. This is a 4-carry composition coming out of FPX, and if they're able to dive on top of that, it's all on to how long Jingdong can survive.
Oh, Pepper, he is very deep in enemy territory, trying to escape right now. Bing actually buying a bit of time, able to zone him away, and now this is turning into a fight for FPX, chasing down the rest of the team. Pepper, he's a madman, actually jumps in by himself and will end up dying there, but trades his life for Yagao. Definitely a worth trade right there. Kills the AD carry, and a triple kill for LWX. They're looking for more as they chase down Zoom.
The 30 to 40 second death timers on Jingdong. But I wonder how much FPX can take. 100% they can take an inhibitor, but will they look to go farther?
They're trying to take a lot right now. Zoom is wave clear for them though. This Baron buff is going to help them out a bunch as they look towards this inhibitor. I'm not sure if they'll carry on pushing. I mean, it looks like the call is to keep going. At least they can maybe take a Nexus turret here. Zoom, he has the wave clear, but if they can get a pick, Crisp headbutts him away, but he's very low himself. He didn't have ultimate, so he'll tank that tower up. It's not really like they can look for kills here, but they're all looking at these towers. Another 5 seconds on Yagao. This is risky, but it's actually working for now. LWX, he's onto the Nexus. Maybe this was a bit too ambitious. Bing is the first one to jump ship, but LWX turns around, finally falls. Zoom did not die. And Bing, while he decides to back away, it is late. Locks on with the ace in the hole. Clid Oh, there's the spectacle package, and Yagao will chase him down. Get out of my base. Both Nexus turrets dead. But FPX, this is a lot of time that they're down for now.
Yeah, I know. Yagao coming in with the mailman JD package.
Special delivery.
But here's the worry. We saw this a little bit earlier on. That's an open Nexus, ladies and gentlemen. And that's a Trinity Force jungler in Pepper. It's going to be seen. And they're all taken away. Look at what Alistar's about to do. This is all being concocted right now. Alistar just wants to stop the two people that are coming in front of him. As long as he can hold them down, then Camille can look for it. It looks like it's going to be called off.
Yeah, Pepper decides not to go for it in the end. That would have been the sickest finish. Unfortunately, Yagao is the man who's playing Gatekeeper. You can actually just see him sitting in front of the Nexus, waiting for anyone who happens to come and try and backdoor.
It's going to be a duel.
Yeah, they're going to meet each other right now. And Pepper, he jumps on top of Yagao, tries to go for the trade, and actually does get the better of him as Yagao decides to back away.
He's running for it.
He's going for it. They're looking to try and stop the recalls right now. There's the teleport coming in from Zoom. Forces a TP out of JD, and now they can look for the engage. Crispy's following after.
3v5.
He comes in for the pincer. He locks the ultimate down. It comes Bing as well, but JD, they get the disengage. So important.
So crucial. And this is the type of game you play. You think about how long FPX took to take the Nexus turrets down. You think this is a crucial error, but now the mind games are there. So many Trinity Force, so many split pushers on the side of FPX that they can just go for the killing blow. So Jingdong, all they really want to do is find a pure on 5v5, but it's just too much to ask for until they get their inhibitors up.
Man, but this game has definitely just devolved to a state where FPS can definitely just win a fight, end the game. Like, that didn't seem like an even possible reality for them a couple minutes ago, but after fight, this game has been accelerated so much by the kills that we've had. We're 29 minutes into the game, and this is already looking like a 50-minute game, like a single team fight ends the game for either team.
Yep.
And especially when you look towards the items, Corki is almost full build right now.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit crazy, a little bit ridiculous. We're in a point right now when one push, one lost team fight. We've seen a lot of team fights already, but it feels like one team fight can just win you the game. A lot of pushers, of course, Loken and Yagao at this point in time are good enough. Either of them, if they're alive, they can win the game. Same with Zoom, of course, because the one inhibitor is still there open on the side of FPX, and the death timers are long enough. They're already reaching towards the point where they're 30 to 40 seconds. Right now, you have to be a lot more patient in terms of how you concoct the next one.
I feel like this Camille pick has worked out so well for Pep. He's looked for the engages, feels very confident on the pick, and if you think about it, Camille, very similar champion to Jarvan. Jumps in, has a long-range dash, and the ultimate locks down the target, or brings up an arena, basically. So it's almost like he's playing Camille in the same way that he plays Jarvan.
There have been a few players that have done this. Amazing J as well has been known as a very strong Jarvan and, of course, Camille player. It's the same idea. This is an interesting idea. Maybe they thought they could get a pick off. But yeah, it's very nice that he's able to get that for himself, especially being able to recover from the early game deficit that he had.
Ooh, LGUX taking a big chunk damage out from that phosphorus bomb, and somehow that weaves through, the needle comes through and lands on top of LWX. Clid gets the lockdown, but now it's the tanks who are really under threat. Bing is the one that they're trying to lock down, and he is not a tank in this game, Braz. He's very much an AP carry.
And that's 30 seconds to the next Baron. That is a numbers advantage for Jingdong, and you better believe they're going to be able to use that for themselves. So I'm going to wonder what FPX are going to do. They might just play it completely passively and just wait for Bing to come back up.
There's 40 seconds left on that death timer, so he will be definitely late to the play, but he is Galio, so he can make up some of that time with the ultimate.
Ooh, this is a wrong call for Jingdong if they're trying to get the Elder Dragon instead. Looks like it's just a Cloud Dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah, why are they in that side of the map then?
Don't trade Cloud for Baron, that seems horrible.
Okay, this is just weird because they should be already in position for this Baron. They're coming in now.
Yeah, I know. JD will now move towards the air, and there is respect for FPX. Pink goes down. Yeah, Gimgoon's pushing the middle lane right now. He's putting pressure onto the Nexus.
Look at Fiora. This is going to be a rush for the Nexus. It's going to be on Yagao to stop her, but it might be a difficult ask.
And here comes the stop on the recall. It's going to be a 1 versus 1. Here comes the teleport as well into the play. Bing is right behind them. Another lockdown onto LGUX is fantastic out from Clid. Zoom, he split from the team, and right now the front line's trying to get away. In comes the ultimatum, the 1-2 combo. Crisp will pick up that kill, and Pepper chasing down onto Mao. Clid barely managed to escape, but this time Kench will not be so lucky. LWX gets that kill. In comes the teleport, but Yagao looking to close in on this one. Chase down Gimgoon. The crits are big, but turning it around. A 1 versus 1 right here, but it's turning into a 3 versus 1. The team is chasing, and there He does have the stopwatch still, so he knew he could push forwards. Zoom backs away, 2 kills to FPX, but here comes the turnaround. LvMao needs to be careful. Crisp, he's locked down. Clid, he gets another kill. Bing, he's getting chased back as well, and Yagao, he's chasing down on top of him. Gimgoon, he's onto the tower, and these fights are so messy.
This game is crazy. You never really know who's gonna actually get the death kill. It's absurd. That was such a killer move from FPX to start with, to put themselves in a position where Corki had no way to join the fight. And it looked great from them. But then the TP comes through on Gimgoon, and he looks to try and Q-dash towards the side of Jingdong's map. Bad call. Join your team. You have the numbers advantage. You should be confident in that. So that's the only criticism I would have to what was a really successful fight and strategy coming in from FPX.
JD actually going to turn it on towards the Baron right now. Pepper is on the Dragon by himself. Crisp is down, Bing is down, multiple deaths from the side of FPX. And JD will secure the Baron right here. Just good timing on those death timers.
Here's when this gets a lot more crucial, because now Jingdong, of course, naturally wants to be able to use that Baron to push for a win. But if you're FPX, you have an open Nexus. You just need to be able to take down the one inhibitor. So it's going to be harder for Jingdong than you actually believe using this Baron, because it could just be a trap to get out of your own house.
As soon as you do, FPX will invade. They'll get in there, try and finish off the game. But that's such a risky play in a game like this.
It just turns into a base race. And at this point in time, if you're Jingdong and you just need to take an inhibitor and 2 Nexus turrets, all FPX needs to do is just take down that one inhibitor and then the Nexus itself. Right now, good enough from Jingdong that they push them out of the red side jungle and are forcing them towards their own base.
And they're pushing up. The wave has been pushed out. There is a good vision line as well from JD within their own jungle, so they can track anyone looking for a backdoor. JD are actually pushing a little bit further on this one. There's a lockdown, but it's actually onto Bing, not quite onto LvMao, onto a key target this time. Pepper, he's skirting around the back. He wants to try and get this engage off. If he can land the ultimatum onto a carry, follow up with Bing, that's what he's looking for, but he's also cutting the wave.
The worry about being behind the entirety of Jingdong is that he does have access to moving towards the Nexus. That being said, Jingdong doing well, just stand by. If they ever see him make a run for it, they can end the game right here and now.
Yeah, really good to catch the wave as well, as Pepper was trying to remove that one. He's actually dueling Clid at the moment. Jungler's just duking it out. But the push comes in once again. Caitlyn, very good in this scenario, able to get chip damage on those towers.
And they can just wait for the next ulti coming out of Clid. It's very close to being back up, 10, 20 seconds, which means that if they want to get on top of Pepper, they can do that.
But for now, FPX have managed to defend this one, cutting the wave courtesy of Pepper, who is now pushing into the enemy jungle.
Talk about annoying.
He's able to do this. There's so much mobility on this Camille pick. There's a constant threat that JD have to think of, but they are retreating, going back towards the top lane. This is a massive wave about to crash onto this inhibitor tower.
Now Pepper needs to be able to make it on time for his team. This is a fight that's going to be starting.
Yeah, because there's an engage onto Gimgoon, but they wanted the tower. It's very clear what JD looking for right now. Pepper choosing the opportunity, and here it is. Everybody's grouped up. In comes the slam right now onto Clid. The rest of the carries managed to back away, but Crisp, he lands the knockup, and Bing, he's chasing down that back line. Pepper's low, but he's able to lock up the Gangplank. Crisp, he just needs to back away now and collect all of the kills, all of the members that are trapped within the team. 2 kills FPX.
They're TPing through, they want to cut them off.
Teleport coming down, Yagao and Loken both very low, but they turn it onto Bing. He buys a bit of time using his Zhonya's, but the rest of the team for FPX is chasing down. They'll get another one,
no.
and Yagao and Loken, there's no way to get out of this one alive, but they can sure as hell take someone with them. 2 kills to JD, but it's an ace in from FPX.
The pings are coming through. Honestly, Gimgoon's about to have his TP anyways. This seems like it's all over with. What a phenomenal struggle. No.
Oh,
no,
there's no way.
Don't even show me that, Observer. You're trolling me now. Let's move on to the next time, because that was an excellent fight on the side of FPX. To find themselves being able to just... Honestly, I thought they needed to get onto the carries. But it seemed like getting onto Sejuani was just good enough.
Right, we're on to the Nexus. Clid is the only man defending. Just hit the inhibitor, hit the Nexus. That's all you need. FPX, they've managed to do it. They take the win here today.
Look at the face of Pepper. I mean, I'm looking at LWX right now, but he was the one who was celebrating the hardest. That was a hard-fought victory for FPX to be able to upset Jingdong and take another win for the Western Conference.
Yeah, because that will only be the 3rd win that the Western Conference has over East. It's currently 6-2, now 6-3 because of FPX and that win right here. So congratulations to them and the Western Conference picking up a win. But this is exactly what FPX had to do. If you look at this holistically, you look at the rest of the league, when are FPX going to pick up wins? It has to be now. It has to be against these middle-of-the-tier teams, pretty much anyone in that Eastern Conference. And right now, here today, they managed to do it.
And take a closer look at them, because this is turning out to be the perfect storm where the West entirely seems to be losing games after games after game. OMG is one team that's having to drag their feet along. And so if you're looking towards taking wins, this is the time to do it. Take a bow. If you can continue to do so, then you might find yourself in the playoff picture.
And that is, of course, the goal here for FPX, a team that came in with a lot of hype. You know, we said at the start of this game that if you look at expectations for these teams, Rogue Warriors, JD, FPX, all teams that had a lot of expectations behind them. JD were the ones who actually managed to lead that horse race. You know, it was the team probably with the least amount of hype behind them when you look towards FPX and Rogue Warriors. But here today, FPX have actually shown maybe the hype wasn't all for nothing.
Yeah, honestly, they did it in a way that you didn't get to see too many times before when it comes to Jingdong Gaming, because Yagao was being built up to be the mailman in a lot of cases where he was constantly getting pressure on side lane to side lane, fight to fight. You had to lock him down, and they did just that. We had so many questions towards Bing's champion pools, Bing's effectiveness, whether or not he could hold down Yagao. It was the entire team of FPX who were able to do that.
But I will say, when it got to, you can see how spiky up and down the goal graph is right here. I think once we hit around 14 minutes, FPX dragged JD Gaming down into the muck with them. That is essentially what happened. And then we had fight after fight after fight. We were literally coming out of replays into another fight. And that happened like 4 times in a row.
Yeah,
when you get into these messy fights, that's usually when FPX will start to thrive.
Yes. And so this is one of those plays where you looked at Jingdong, you're like, well, what are you doing with your back timings, right? We were even talking about how Spellbook, the 3 spellbooks that they had were great because they didn't have to worry too much about it. That's like an amplification that if it's messing up their back times, TP back onto the map and you can actually keep your towers up. But they were just making mindless plays. The one specific one that comes to mind, of course, is the Valkyrie into the Dragon Pit.
Yeah.
4 to 3 people. Wrong decision, buddy.
Completely unnecessary. Jumps in, dies by himself, and that was almost like the start of that play. It was just one after another, and it just snowballed out of control, as you could see. And while they were still able to pick up some fights, it no longer becomes a macro game, a one where JD can be like, okay, we can outthink our opponents, we can see where we're going to put our pieces on the map. It's no, group up, go for a fight, whoever wins the fight picks up the Baron. As soon as that happens, then it just becomes another fight, and whoever wins that wins the game. Yeah,
and it just turned into a game of that one team fight. Just one team fight. FPX just needed that one team fight. You lose the Nexus turrets, and it comes down to the fact that it's like, okay, these death timers are suddenly long enough that if you make that one misstep, that's it. It's a kind of a coin toss. And guess who won that toss? It was on the side of FPX.
It was in the end. You know, they start winning a lot of those coin flips to the point where you're like, is this actually weighted? Because FPX start doing that a bunch of times. But either way, congratulations to them taking the victory 2-1 over JD Gaming. But that is going to do it from us, so we are going to send it over to the analyst desk to take a look at that game.
I'm not too sure where we're meant to start with this one, Clement, because that game was a mess. We had Pepper starting off really well, followed by a quadrukill being picked up by Corki, who went, I believe, 9-1, had full build halfway through the match, and still, it wasn't Jingdong Gaming that could close the game. It was FunPlus Phoenix that picked up the win at the end.
Yeah, that definitely was a bit of a fiesta, if we can call it that. I know we usually use that term in the LCS, but apparently LPL is pretty much the same thing as well right now, because that game should have ended after 20 minutes when Jingdong Gaming had a 10k gold lead. You look at Yagao, he was 4k ahead, and then all these weird things started to happen. They started brush checking at one point, and then they went for like a 2v4 fight in the Infernal Drake Pit, and none of that went well, and none of that was really necessary, which is the point I want to bring to it is you can really see these two teams are the new teams in the LPL. Like, they don't have a lot of discipline. Their late games are very coin flippy, like Raya said 3 times in a row, just to make an emphasis on that. It really was much of a coin flip at that point. But I will have to say there is kind of a reason behind the madness, and the reason why FPX was able to win that game was because they had such a good teamfight composition. And what Jingdong failed to figure out is that if you didn't kill the Fiora at the start of the fight, she could actually kill one member, get the healing for the entire team like we saw in the last team fight, and then just continue to steamroll.
And FPX used that team fighting team comp pretty well against Gaming to pick up the victory. It was a coin flick, it was very back and forth, but as we said, Pepper started off the game very well and he ended this match with MVP on the Camille.
Oh man, I'm not so sure like he really deserved that, but congratulations for punishing mistakes and, you know, getting out the win.
He spent a good amount of that game trying to be solid Snake. At one point in time, it almost costed them 3 inhibitors in the match.
Yeah,
Thankfully, got up there for the final team fight.
Tried a couple times to get a backdoor as well. Able to defend that really well. Like these are the types of games where we really like to watch, but we don't necessarily like to cast because there's not a lot of like reason within it.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to go, okay, this team just won a fight and that team won a team fight. Now I don't understand anymore. It gets to a point where you just, you know, you put on a Razzle Plus and go, it was a coin flip once again. But that was the first match of today. That was FunPlus Phoenix go up against Jindong Gaming. We still have one more match here today, and that's going to be played from the LGD Arena in Hangzhou. LGD taking on Bilibili Gaming. That game is already underway. As we said, though, we are going to take this one all the way from Champion Select of Game number 1 to the end of that series. So, Simon, it's going to be you and me talking about that game for a little bit before we send it over to our casters. What do you think of this matchup between LGD as well as Bilibili Gaming?
So this is a classical tortoise versus the hare matchup. LGD are the hare and BLG are the tortoise. One likes to play fast, the other wants to play a bit slower. LGD, they're on the rise. They just took games off of IG, took games off of Snake, and they have one of the bloodiest games ever. 54 kills last time against Snake, and they play at a very, very fast pace. That's how they want to win. They want to win through these skirmishing and fights. But BLG, on the other hand, they have a lot of kind of slow lanes, and they want to wait for that one very conclusive team fight where they can take the game into their hand. And to be honest, it can only go one way. So the pacing is either going to be really, really fast or it's going to be really, really slow, and that's going to benefit one of these teams.
Big contrast in play styles between the two teams. We actually take a look at the picks and bans for game number 1. As you can see, Tahm, Kench, Varus on Cassiopeia and Rek'Sai with the 5 picks that came up from LGD. We had Ryze, Caitlyn, Cho'Gath, Jarvan, and Braum. These were the 5 picks from Bilibili Gaming.
And just to harp on, just to continue on our note about the tortoise and the hare, BLG right here, they do have the scaling advantage here. The Caitlyn with the flag, 50 extra attack speed later into the game is going to be a huge point of a contention. But LGD, you really see the scrappy nature coming out from Amy right here, going for the Rek'Sai and the counter pick in the Cassiopeia. So they're really looking to make plays around that mid game, and they also have the Tahm Kench as a first pick, which is fairly rare right now, but LGD do like to do that. It's the second most played champion from PYL, and he really picks that to get people into the fight. So they're really looking to start things in the mid game, you know, maybe make a pick and then snowball it off with Tahm Kench coming into the fight as well.
Yep, so we'll have to see if LGD can keep that scrappy playstyle up, or if it's going to be Bilibili Gaming who can try and take this one to the long game, try and scale up and take it to late game against LGD. We're going to go straight into game number 1, so let's send it over to our casters. It's Dom and Froskurin.